Just a heads up.
Are you ready?
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Oh.
Their spirits were sunken and low. Their bags weighed more than a ton. There was neither sign nor show when the bull began his run. The shields were shilling wall to wall. The gig was up, they had their fun, and every short got a margin call when the bull began his run. The candle's green came fast and tall. Each wick was bold, quick to stun. His eyes burned red, and his horns did more when the bull began his run. Now fortune smiles upon the need. His bags of gold gleam in the sun. The outer stream of his balance sheet, and every bear is left with none. Since the bull began his run.
That was Satoshi Nakamoto's decision. It wasn't that, well, maybe Nakamoto does work here.
Look to the front, or I'm going to come back there and turn you.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There's no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay? It's not like Google and Facebook. It's not like Apple and Amazon. Yeah, we can debate Apple or Amazon. What's better? They both look like tech monopolies to me. They both look pretty good. On the other end, Bitcoin or no, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a crypto asset. This entire idea of like 60% dominance is bullshit, ridiculous, stupid, right? Like, it's stupid. It's not 60% dominant. It's like 96% or 95% dominant, right? The thing, and you compare it as a crypto asset to a like kind of proof of work crypto network, right? There's going to be a store of value. You know, you're lucky if you find it. You can scrape together 5% of other stuff in the last bucket, so there is no real proof.
the Fed just going to print money?
That's literally what Congress has told us to do. And there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
And there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
I'm certain that at the end of the day, it will end up close to zero. Your scam of a CD, you've conned people into taking a worthless currency that you create for nothing, and they've agreed not to sell it.
Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero. When it comes out, zero.
Can you stay kind of? You are fake news.
Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up.
What is up, guys? How's it going? How's it going? How are you?
That was over too quick, man. I could have sat there and watched for about a half hour on that one at least.
Oh yeah, no, it's a fun one. I mean, I probably need to do another one. Actually, probably we'll see when if price appreciation keeps going and we actually see some gains. Maybe I'll do a decent one. For the next time.
Nice.
But yeah, it's good to see you, man. Welcome, you, and nice to be on a call. Yeah, we were speaking in the green room about kind of what's been going on. I mean, wow, what a difference I would say in the last month or so. First and foremost, I got to ask you the question: did you ever see Richard Hart doing a meme coin?
No.
What's going on? You know behind the scenes. What's going on? Why is Richard launching meme coins, man?
It's like he wouldn't even talk about NFTs in a positive light, let alone a meme coin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It was kind of wild because there isn't often where I get text messages from guys about PulseChain, right? There's a lot of guys I know in crypto, kind of in the Solana degen space, particularly in the base degen space, and they're aping, crap coins all the time, and they know about everything that's going on. They know about the cabals that kind of run Solana, for example. Next thing you know, I'm getting text messages from them. How to bridge the PulseChain? How am I going to bridge from Solana to PulseChain? And they're talking about these coins, and they're like, "What you guys did a pump fund fork and all of this kind of stuff." Now, for every hexagon that's there, it's like, "Oh, it's rotating money. It's money just circulating around." I'm like, "No, not necessarily." I'm getting these kind of text messages. I'm getting other people saying these kind of text messages, and it's very interesting if you look at how the rest of the market is. I would agree that there is some money that's been circulating from one coin to another, and you see one pump, the other kind of fade a little bit, vice versa. But what he's done, I think, strategically, is he's creating a tension and volume that is also burning up Pulse, because we know that out of all the tokens, that's really the one that's not getting burnt up enough. And he's just creating. He loves to do it when the rest of the market's down. He's creating a tension, and that's probably the most important thing. What's your take on that?
Well, I've kind of like taken the market cycle and put it into a perspective that I can kind of imagine. So I don't know if you've ever seen any of these nature movies in the Kalahari, right? The Kalahari Desert has the rains come down. The rains come, that's a monsoon, and it creates a lake, a humongous, monstrous lake. And it feeds all the animals, the wildebeest, the zebras, the freaking monkeys, the lions, the giraffes. They're all drinking out of the same lake. The alligators are swimming in it. everything's peaceful and everybody's, you know, being revitalized. And then the summer comes and the lake starts to drain and it starts to shrink and it turns into a mud hole that the alligator lives in. The lion's trying to drink out of it and everything else is dying and can't get a drink of water because only the strongest are able to drink the mud from the hole, right? And that's kind of where we are at the bottom of the bear market. Now, there's some waters out there flowing, and it seems like Richard has dug a canal from those waters into the pond that we're in, and it's starting to flow in, and now the rains are about to come. So it's like kind of priming the pump, getting the lake started, and then the rains come and the whole market explodes. You know, he's created that canal to bring the waters into this lake, and it just looks like he's prepping us for, you know, a way to get people into our system, you know, a way to get attention into Richard's system and bring the money flow in, because we know that the money flow coming from what we need is that external money flow coming in, and we're a closed system pretty much. And if we don't have those in routes, if we don't have that attention, if we don't have the crypto bros, you know, coming in and seeing how good it is over here, then they're not going to drink from our lake. They're going to drink from some other lake, and we want them here, you know.
For sure. I mean, Trump kind of set the precedent, because when he launched that coin, I was just like, I just saw the liquidity from everywhere just get swallowed into a black hole. Yeah, just get, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that kind of works. You know, people are gonna, now, does it have a life cycle? Who knows? I have a feeling, in my personal opinion, I think that these meme coins that have been made and created by Richard have a purpose, and there is a reason for it. Potentially, you know, we talk about the lack of APR now on yield farming, right? On PulseX. Well, what about everyone's talked about single-sided staking, right? Or some form of that on PulseX. You know, that could be an incentive or reward if you had some tokens that were available for that. That could be something that could happen. So I just think that it's been a very interesting action. I know that some people were hating it. Actually, I was surprised how many people hated it and how many people were against it. And then they suddenly saw what Richard was doing, right? He's reducing the hex inflation. He's reducing the ink inflation significantly. And suddenly he's making these moves to thin the liquidity out, which is usually, I'm not going to say it is going to happen, but it's usually a sign of getting ready to pump and move a price chart up. Because if the liquidity is too thick, it's going to be difficult to move the price up.
Yeah, and so he's setting the dominoes up, right? You know, he's getting things, and it's a hint and a half for your ass, you know. And we already seen it. The whales have, you know, pretty much pulled their liquidity too, and they've started to move out, and that's what really, you know, caused the big sink. Is everybody just going, okay, it's time to move? You know, Richard's made moves and stuff. And, you know, so it's a hit and a half for your ass. Now watch the next signs, like, you know, how much, what's the ratio between Hex and Pulse? What's that look like? Like I think that's the next biggest step, is to continue to watch that and see if that ratio changes. Because that's the one thing that can be done that doesn't cost anything, is if that ratio changes. And we see it, like, I mean, a SAC ratio was 2,000 pulse per hex or something like that. And now we're at like 350 pulse per hex. You start seeing that, you know, that ratio change to like 800, 900, 1,000, you know, pulse per hex. Then, you know, things are really going to start moving at that point.
And what about also the ratio between PulseX and Pulse? Nearly 1-to-1 right now. I mean,
yeah, the ratio is 1-to-1. So we're starting to see things, you know, moving. It's being set up, you know, it's being set up. So it's like, hey, get yourself ready. And then the other thing, you know, you're talking about the meme coins. We all know what happens when the L1 pumps, right? When the L1 and everything, the core coins pump. Hey, I'm sorry, but everybody runs to the hills and drops their memes and runs for the, you know, for the core coins. And we're going to see that. So be prepared for that. You know, people are going to see the meme coins get dropped, dumped, walked away from. All the bitchin' ass narratives that everybody has about all these cool coins out there are going to do something. You know, they're going to have the rising tide effect that lifts all ships when the whole ecosystem moves. But they're also going to get dumped because people are going to be afraid, because there's a lot of people that have leveraged themselves into these things thinking that they were going to make their fortunes on these meme coins. And maybe they may have not panned out like that. So when they start seeing things get scary, out of those and into the stables, because we know what happens when Hex moves. When Hex moves, it goes, and it goes fast. Like 0 to 13 cents is going to be almost like blink an eye. You'll wake up one morning, you'll be at 12, 13 cents. And then from there, it's just bam, 50, 60, 90, boom, 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 boom. It can go like really fast after that.
What was your take on the, obviously the OA's actions and in terms of the yield? I mean, let's talk about
I never expected the staking, right? It was like, I mean, we always knew that it had that capability. We always thought that it was there to, act like a Fed, to where it could adjust the rate to where the rate wouldn't be ridiculous. Like if, let's just say, and I always thought it would be once Hex mooned, once people got really, really excited about the APY and whatnot, I figured if it was an insane amount of yield still coming in, 20% yield, that maybe the OA might stake and drop that yield down to, more reasonable 12, 13%. I never expected to see all of the coins from the OA bam at 15 years. And I never expected to see that. But again, it's like we always speculate on what Richard will do, and we always have these ideas. And then when he does make a move, we go, oh, well, that makes sense. It really he created a happening, and now we're sitting, and it's kind of interesting when the big payday was coming. We had a Bitcoin halvening, and then we saw the OA around the same amount of time frame from when the Bitcoin halvening came to when the OA did its staking, around the same type of thing that is happening right now, where Bitcoin halvened and now the OA made this move. So something to me is telling me that it's working the cycles and creating this halvening effect of its own after Bitcoin has already started to do what it's doing and either prime the market for its move or what. So it correlates to me somehow.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That a lot of people obviously speculating on, okay, maybe these moves are being done because of what's to come legally speaking, right? Like, are we going to get a dismissal? Nuclear Herb said possibly 90 days. You got to, people guess, right? I mean, it's all really a guess. Nuclear Herb says some good insight on that, but I mean, in the background, are you hearing anything? And what's
yeah, I mean, there's stuff I can and can't talk about as far as legally things go. The SEC, the DOJ, the FBI, the agencies, the three-letter agencies that are out there are still, trying to do their work, trying to find some there. And the beautiful thing about it is we went to New York to go to Richard's to support Richard and be there for the hearing. By the way, everybody, it's not a case; it was a hearing, and the hearing was to see if there was going to be a case based on jurisdiction and the relevance of the SEC's complaint. And from what we all saw there while we were there, their complaint and their jurisdiction is in deep question, and it was in deep question by the judge. We saw the judge questioning it, and we saw the posturing by Richard's legal team, which was strong, confident, and well organized. We saw the SEC fumbling, back up against the ropes, and even made the judge upset a couple of times, or question them a couple of times about why they were creating the actions that they were creating, or asking the questions they were asking. So being there, seeing that, and seeing the agencies and what they're doing tells me that legally, as far as it goes, Richard's case looks like it's in a really good spot for dismissal. Now, here's what I want everybody to understand is
dismissal or partial dismissal.
I think dismissal.
Okay.
To be honest, that's my hypothesis of the situation based on everything that I know and what I've seen. But see, so the judge right off the bat, if you go and look at the transcript, she kind of like took Hex and threw it out right off from the get-go, because there was basically 3 complaints: Hex, Pulse, and Pulse Hex. And she said, well, Hex doesn't have anything to do with the big payday and everything. That was a whole different situation. You shouldn't even have this in the complaint because you're asking about this, and that. And then, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying.
No. That's fair.
She said, let's talk about these 3 things. This thing here is, and she was talking about Hex. And
she based it on the timeline, right? Because I know the timeline was presented
on the timeline. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And she was well versed on the timeline too, because they put a timeline in front of her so that she could read off of it, and she never even looked at it. She was like straight looking at what she was doing, and so she did her homework. So she kind of like brushed Hex aside, and she really focused on Pulse and Pulse X, and the questions were all based on that. So that alone tells me that she kind of partially separated it right there. So if there was going to be a partial, I thought that would be the partial, that maybe she was going to drop a coin or Hex off of it or something. And it appeared that right off the get-go, she kind of moved that or separated the 2. And then, of course, the case against Pulse and Pulse X was very, very weak. The case against Richard was very, very weak in her questioning and their arguments and their responses, and then Richard's legal team's arguments and responses. And then after it was all said and done, it was like, hey, the judge, now this isn't in stone. The judge usually makes a decision within 90 days. Now, here's what I was told about, courts and everything. The 90-day period ended, at the end of, December. There was supposed to be a call by then. Well, let's all remember that this is the holiday season, and the whole month of December was kind of dead. And the judge probably had a stack of papers and things that she had to do on her desk. So that puts her a whole month behind, really, so end of January, February going into it, it makes sense to me that it hasn't been gotten to, that there isn't an answer yet, because the judge is just, hey, backlogged, had all this stuff going on, holidays, push things back. So, and usually 90 days. And then, of course, we had a presidential election in the middle or presidential changeover in the middle of all that here in the U.S. And so because of that switchover too, I think that there was a lot of things going on with the SEC, and maybe the judge was looking at a lot of other things. So it kind of slowed everything down. But I'm thinking we're going to see something here really, really soon. And with the way Richard is posturing here and preparing things, it seems like they're pretty confident that, that this is going to be kind of a full dismissal, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. I kind of, because I heard a lot of people getting very excited about Hex being dismissed. And there is really a kind of culture difference, I think, particularly in PulseChain as an entity, if you want to call it that, or an ecosystem, right? There's a couple of guys, there's guys who are quote unquote Hex Maxis and Hex Maxis alone. They don't care about the L1. They don't give a damn about it. Then there's guys who are in on PulseChain, right? And maybe they started off in Hex, maybe they got in later on, or they got in just on Pulse and Pulse X and all of the other stuff. I know someone was saying about the PDI narrative. Then there's degens like me, right? So most of my guys are all degens in the trenches. Shout out to all of you guys, buying and selling shit coins and all of this fun stuff. Which, by the way, I want to say as well, because we come from like it's a very unique space. I will say this because I feel like I'm in the trenches when it comes to this. PulseChain memes last longer than many other memes around. If you go to Solana, most memes last 24 hours, if that. We're talking like 12 hours. There's not much, unless they're really Cabal funded, but even if you take, like, for example, WIF or some other stuff that's not really been performing, most of them don't last. Now, though they were meant to have in Vegas, they were meant to have it in the dome or the sphere. I forget what its name is. They were meant to have like an advertisement. The price completely tanked because Ansem had said that, and then they came out. Vegas Sphere came out and said, no, we're not going to promote it at all. We only do legit cryptos. But PulseChain is one of these unique places where we have this casino, and I think that Rich has gone, well, we're gonna have to facilitate it. Now, I've told you guys that you shouldn't be trading, and I told you guys you shouldn't be doing this, that, and the other. But the market wants it, so I'm gonna give it to you guys. Like, and I think that's the best approach, right? Like, okay, you shouldn't go to the casino, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't do a lot of things in life.
Well, God, I love my cigars, and I'll throw some dice just like anybody else.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And when you go down it, like, you've been to crypto events, right, RG3? You know that most of the hexagons do throw some dice down, right? Like,
oh yeah, all night long.
Like, come on, they are degenerate a little bit,
That's what gets me. Like I see people like, oh no, all your money should be going into the core coins and this and that. But I'll guarantee you, they got a pack of smokes on their counter. They've got Coca-Colas in the refrigerator. They're eating cheeseburgers out at the it's like, wait, everybody spends their money on the shit they want to spend their money on. Everybody throws a little bit of dice, pulls a handle on a machine, does something, buys something frivolous that they don't need. It's like, hey, the activity is what we need, period. Memes and NFTs kept ecosystems alive during the bear market. That's what kept these systems alive. And yes, it was incestuous. And yes, the money was just taking out of your back pocket and putting into your front pocket and losing some change along the way as you moved it around. And some people made money and scammed people and did all this other bullshit. But I mean, it's the game. It's human beings have to be doing something. We need something to be occupied with. And that's what all this stuff does. All this degen activity is what it is. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I'm going to throw some stuff here and throw some stuff there. I'm not going to
you buy something other than the core tickers, RG3? What? Hey man, you're meant to be one of the, 4 horsemen of Hex. Why are you saying this?
Of course, but I mean, it's what we do, man. We want to be in the game. I mean, look, I'm not gonna, dump my bags or put anything like that in it. But I have expendable income. I can go and buy toys. I can go and buy things. I'm 57-year-old man. I've got bank accounts that have money in it. If I want to go buy a new car, I could go buy a new car without my crypto. I own property in California, and I've been a working man my whole life. I'm not broke. I've done enough, and I can go to Vegas and blow some money on the weekend in Vegas. So of course, yeah, I degened. I've played around. I've had fun with some coins and this and that and the other. But my real core bags are my core bags. My stakes are my stakes. And those things are for the future of my family and my future, and to do things to build my wealth. And, of course, I don't touch those things. I don't risk those things. I don't over leverage myself in crypto, because a lot of my value is in crypto and it's in the cores,
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I do say to people, like, have a core bag, have a degen bag. I don't necessarily think it's bad to have. You got to take it. I mean, I know guys who have made hundreds of thousands. I mean, and millions even from degening around. Taking advantage. And yeah, okay, some people will say, Richard says don't trade, blah, 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 could accumulate more units. I mean, they have accumulated more of the cores just from doing that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you just go out and do that. Like, there's a lot of preparation and research that has to be done. You have to be in the trenches. And when I mean in the trenches, like every day on this thing, being in the groups, knowing the people, knowing what's going on, where the money's flowing, all this kind of stuff. It's not as easy as, hey, I'm just going to ape some sort of shitcoin and wait for it to go up. So a lot of guys are like that. But I like it. I mean, if you're a kind of core coin maxi, hey, good on you, and keep buying the units. And I think it'll work out. And I think also the guys who have been accumulating as well, it'll work out for them. I mean, just don't destroy yourself. I had 2 calls this week, and these are guys who are not within our ecosystem. One guy who's a kind of leverage trader, and then another guy who is mainly is kind of on Solana blockchain. And both of them have said to me that they've lost. One of them lost over 7 figures, right? With the ETH getting dropped off a cliff, and obviously leveraging up, going long. and then another has lost 500K. So if you're if you've been able to hold, a lot of people buy spot, and they think, oh, worrying and worrying too much that they've just bought spot and that's about it. Man, if you're not, these guys have lost incredible amounts, and I really do think that we're in for a very interesting bull run. Your thoughts on that, actually? What are you thinking? I mean, looking at Ethereum and what's been happening, what's your thoughts on it so far? I mean, right now, 2.5, 2.6, whatever it is, pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible, and and that's because of leadership. They don't have. I don't think they have the business acumen that they need to survive or to thrive in this space. I don't see any action. I mean, if you look at crypto and the core coins in crypto, the core products in crypto, and you look at what they've done, the bigs, the big names, they've been resting on their laurels and counting their money for the last 6 years, 7 years. They haven't done anything. I mean, the 17 bull run, they were all screaming and yelling what they were going to do. And then from then, I haven't seen them do anything.
Right.
And they haven't marketed to the regular world. They haven't made crypto friendly or easier or accessible. The products that made crypto accessible, that allowed them to have the pumps that they've had, are things like Robinhood, and they have nothing to do with these guys. This is just, I think that crypto has fallen asleep, and they've missed a big opportunity. Richard hasn't. Richard in 2017 decided, you know what, since you guys aren't going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I think that's what he did. He went to work, and he said, I'll create a better Bitcoin, and he did. And he said, I'll create a better ETH, and I'll do it an easy way, and he did. And then he said, let's blow up DeFi, and I'll show you the DeFi coin that I really made, and that's Hex. And so he's laid everything out, built a foundation, and now it's up to us, the crypto community, to go and market it and make it attractive and make it, and now he's even given a place, PulseChain, a place for us to build products that can onboard people, bring people in, make people interested in it. And that's, I think, our only hiccup here in this community, is that we need stronger leadership. We need better business acumen. And I'm seeing it start to come with some of these events that I'm doing. I'm starting to see some very good projects with very good leadership, with strong business acumen, coming into the space and building and developing on PulseChain. So I think we're getting there, but it's gonna take a little bit. We're a little ways away. Maybe this bull run will bring it to fruition. But here's my problem. I'm seeing the bull run start to step in. I'm starting to see green candles. Okay. But let's not forget, green candles aren't going to fix what ails us. Mm-hmm. We, as a community, have to take this opportunity to go out and become stronger and build and develop. And that's why I'm doing the tour. That's why sure. I've created, because I mean, the reason you and I have, even become affiliated with one another is because we've met each other. We know who we are. We shook hands and hung out and had conversations. And that's different than, the 2D world where we're memeing each other and screw you on Twitter and all that other crap. When you meet with people, it changes the relationship and it builds a stronger coalition. Whether you're doing something else or this coin or that project or this, it doesn't matter. Once people come together and start talking with one another, we start to understand why we're doing things versus, oh, he's building a scam. No, wait a second. I sat down and talked with him. He's not building a scam. He has great ideas. This is what he's trying to do. And yeah, there may have been a hiccup here or a hiccup there, but you can't blame him. You got to let them go out and struggle and try and survive and make mistakes. And, and I know that guy, he's really trying to do something good. And, and that's the kind of thing that we need. We need to build and develop that and grow it stronger, Yep.
No, I agree with that. And I think also So we were mentioning kind of someone put it in the chat a little bit earlier. You got the PulseChain tour coming up. It does help when there's green candles. I feel like the motivation definitely grows. You know, the attraction to go out and do more happens when we see price appreciation, obviously.
Yeah.
But
and hopefully everybody's not in so much euphoria that they don't realize that there's still work to be done. There's still work to be done.
If it's meant to be a viable long-term product, I mean, but then I kind of think, I mean, when everything was kind of real shit, I'm talking kind of maybe August time, I think it was, when the court case came, and then you had like the law and just a lot of stuff was happening, right? OKX delists, you know, a lot of stuff happened. And you kind of go, okay, well, how does it keep its life cycle? So obviously you've got this new layer one, you know, first cycle narrative. But then after that, it's like, okay, well, how do we make this even better? How does this grow? How does this become better in the long term? How does this start to compete with the likes of other big L1s? And then recently we started overtaking in terms of volume when it comes to like ADA. Now, that's someone who's been extremely critical recently, Charles Hoskinson. And I'm really disappointed in Charles. I like Charles.
I'm very disappointed too.
Why?
I always had a Switzerland approach to Charles. Like, okay, you know, I don't think you're a douchebag. I think you're a little awkward. I think you really haven't done the work that you need to do. But I think you're a good advocate for crypto. I'd like to hear your voice out there. You've said some good things. So I've always been Switzerland on him. But this go for the jugular of the Hexicans, man, it was not a good look for him, and it's not going to serve him well. It is not.
You know, because I know that our community can be toxic as hell. I know that we've both personally gone through some stuff. But I actually didn't think that most of them were going for the jugular. I thought it was quite soft. I mean, I saw some of the comments and stuff. Most of the guys were coming in. Like the Shill Gates, I'll talk about this because he was on the space, right? Yeah. Shill Gates comes in, apologizes, comes in pretty correct. I thought very civil. You know, yes. And then they just tried to shit on him. And then I love Shill at that point because he was just like switching up like, nah, you know, excuse my language, fuck my apology. You know, you're going to be an asshole, you're going to be a douchebag. Then, you know, we can switch it up. And it's a real shame because so many people in this community hold ADA or held ADA and were a part of that. You know, Cardano is kind of blockchain for Africa. It's no one really uses it. There's not much like volume going on compared to other blockchains as well. And if anything, I think that people do associate similarities between Richard and also Charles, you know, in their own ways. They go through their own struggles. They talk as like cult leaders and stuff like that. But yeah, real shame. I don't know why the switch up. I don't know why the anger. I don't have a clue why.
I don't either. It sounded with human nature. You know, I come from the streets and I read people when they make when I see emotions like that. You know. It's one thing to build emotions on a subject or something, but when you go at somebody and you start to see the emotions rise, like I did, he took the Shill said something about a fact about CZ, who just got out of prison, by the way. Said a factual statement about CZ that there was some things that were questionable in the past, and Charles lit up on that. Like he found something to go after Shills on, and he let those emotions come out that I can tell were bottled up for some other reason. It wasn't what Shills said. There was something in Charles that he was upset about. And I want to think that it was, and it usually is this, and people say jealousy. Well, I think it's people don't like other people succeeding where they have tried and worked really hard and failed. Let's face it, Charles has tried really hard and failed. I left his ecosystem a long time ago, dumped my coins for Hex a long time ago. And that was because of, you know, and I liked Charles. I liked everything that he had done. I was really confident that what he was doing was good and right and just and all that. But it never came to fruition. And something he said that really got my my blood boiling of the whole thing. On top of the insults that he threw at us, the Hexicans. I mean, and that's par for the course. They all do it. I've taken it with a grain of salt. But I never forget when they insult us. But the thing that he did was he said he took something that I built and copied it or stole it or something like he was talking about ETH, of course. And when he said that, what went through my mind really was, wait a minute, you abandoned what you're calling your baby to go do something else that you failed at. And you're gonna get mad at Richard for improving on something that you made before that you abandoned. You left ETH, bro. You're not promoting ETH. You're not, sitting there hailing ETH and promoting it and standing behind it and all, your baby or whatever it is that you created. You walked away from it and abandoned it. And then you got to use it against somebody else who's doing something with it, who's making it better. Open source code, which we all know what open source means, right? Is that it's a mousetrap. And if you can make a better one, have at it, because that's what this space is really all about. I was really disappointed to see him say something like that, because it just showed me a lack of his character, his leadership, his integrity, who he should be inside as a human being. This guy's talking about Richard Hart's Gucci and his Lambos, yet he goes and buys a big giant swath of land so he can go play fucking pig farmer, excuse my language, and fly helicopters to the grocery store. So screw off with all that shit you're talking about, Richard. You're the one out there on 100,000 acres with pig farms and flying your helicopters to the grocery stores, dude. So don't even talk about Richard's Gucci and stuff just because it pisses you off. You're wasting money and time and not doing anything for this space either. If you're going to sit there and call a spade, let's call it what it is, bro. And
the thing that pisses me off as well, okay, whether it was a good season or not, when Richard did his outrage marketing, if you want to call it that, right? It works. Let's just take Kanye West recently on Twitter. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. It works. It's a pure example of it does actually work. Now, it pisses people off. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when it comes to financial products such as like crypto, maybe it's not the best approach. And I think Richard's addressed that in the past. But he was trying something, right? Like you're out there and you're putting yourself out into the world and you're like, okay, what's going to stick and what doesn't? Now, some people prefer the old style, streaming, deep interaction. And there's so many different ways. There's so many different things. Some people are going to love, Rackham's new Lambo or whatever, that kind of flashy style. And I know a friend of mine that actually just got in. He originally got into Hex because he loved the flashy stuff. He was one of the guys who actually, everyone knows him probably in the chat, KR. He got into Hex because he saw Richard with the flashy stuff, and so it does attract certain people. Some people may not like it, but it does work to a degree. What I think is funny is Charles is so flip-floppy on certain issues. He's become all buddy with now Trump, yet he was calling him out before Trump was looking to get in. Just
everybody's licking on his boots now. They talk shit about him before he got in, and now they're all licking his boots, And it's like, if you don't like the guy and you have reasons you don't like the guy, have some integrity and continue to do so, and praise the things that he's doing that are right. Because I'm not a Trump fan. It's known, but he's doing things that are right. And do I think that him coming in and breaking the government with a hammer is the best thing? No, but you know what? It needs to be done. He needs to come in, and our government needs to be fixed. And if he's going to fix it with a hammer, okay, that's what we got. We got a guy with a hammer that's going to fix it. He doesn't have a nice big set of tools, but the guy can wield a freaking hammer, and he's coming in and he's throwing it. So in a way, I'm like, gosh, man, we could do a little bit better of a job here. But you know what? Hey, at least he's doing something. At least he's changing things. At least crypto is now. Gosh, the whole narrative of how our government looks at crypto has completely flipped. 100%. Every organization that is getting appointments of leadership from Trump are all crypto friendly, whether they are in an organization that actually directly affects crypto or not. Everybody that I'm seeing that is being brought into his administration are pro crypto, and that excites me, and that makes me happy. And it's one of the things that I didn't expect. that he was going to do, or that his administration, is advising him to do or bringing in. And that's going to be a positive for the whole world because, and I am not one of those guys that thinks the US is better than everything else out there. But as the US goes, a lot of the world goes with it. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of respect for globalization, for the globe. I mean, I'm in Portugal right now, for God's sakes, and I love this place, so, but I don't want it to seem like I'm this, American maximalist or whatever. But when the world moves, when America does things, the world moves with it, and right. I think that's, we've lost a lot of favor over the years and respect. And I think, first of all, you have to give respect. And I hope that we do that. I hope as Americans and the things that we do, we give respect to the rest of the world. But we also show leadership, especially in crypto here, where we open it up and let innovation happen, where people say, hey, we've got to get up there here with the US because the US is now advancing. Because if they keep moving the direction they're moving, the United States may become the crypto capital of the world, where before we were lagging. So we might start to catch up to the rest of the world and maybe even surpass it. So that's my hopes, is that, this is going to happen here in the United States.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, whereby the rest of the world does, okay, you could divide the world up into certain nation states as per se, right? And most of the, like Europe follows in the footsteps of America, right? If America says that Ukraine's great and Russia's bad, that Europe's going to do the same thing, like times 10. So like we follow in that way. And I see some comments like, oh, Trump is a psyop. Look, the other option was going to be real bad. And it was going to be real bad for your bags. So you just choose the better option for your bags. Okay, let's keep it 100. Is no politician is going to be in line. Like, I don't like how attached he is to Netanyahu, and I don't like the fact that he's doing what he's doing over in them boys' territory, right? Like, I'm pretty open and honest about what I think of that. But however, you're not going to get a perfect individual. You're never going to get a perfect individual. And when it comes to what you should prioritize, you've got to think about, okay, my bags come number one. Who's going to pump my bags the most? Trump is probably going to pump my bags. Especially, okay, Bitcoin reserve, digital assets reserve. Got to change that, because all the Bitcoin maxis say Bitcoin reserve. It's not Bitcoin reserve. It's going to be a digital assets reserve. That plus, you think of the rollout of stuff that may come this year. Maybe no capital gains tax. We were talking in the green room about this in America. I mean, is that not bullish?
It's huge. I mean, we went from not even being able to use crypto to being, and criminal. Like, literally, we were looked at as criminals through our banking system, through the legal system, the SEC, the FBI, the DOJ. They're looking at us, just DeFi users, as criminals. And now to flip it over and say, well, hey, on top of everything, we want you to innovate, and we're going to give you some incentive to innovate and bring the world, or bring the United States into the world of cryptography by taking capital gains taxes away from you. And it's like, wait, really? It's like a 180-degree flip, Yep. And it's exciting and long overdue and well deserved, because like everybody I know in this space personally, that I do business with, that I like what you guys have done. I know you guys are trying to do good. You guys are trying. Look. Entrepreneurs get paid. Period. End of story. This is a capitalist style of operations that we're all trying to create here, which is a good way of doing things. And I'm not saying to rob, steal, hurt other people, but to put products out and get paid for them and do things and get paid for them. Hey, more power to everybody. We should be. That's what innovation is. That's what brings good things to the world. And we should all have that opportunity to do so and not be suppressed like we have been, because they're trying to call. And we know that there are powers, that are bigger than even the three-letter agencies that really have been afraid of crypto and trying to hold it down. And, and we've seen what they've done with BlackRock and, with Michael Saylor and the derivatives that they've created. That's their attempt to get a grasp on it. And to be honest, they've done a good job of getting all the Bitcoin, right?
They have, and accumulating a lot of ETH right now. I mean, like 20% of their stack bought in the last 2 months, which again, you know, a lot of people have been saying. I'm getting a lot of text messages and calls like, "Bull market's over," you know, that kind of narrative. And I would love to say, yeah, you're probably right. That was it. That was the top. But I just go, well, why is the biggest financial institution in the world buying more of, you know, buying more Bitcoin and buying more ETH, essentially, right? Like, why are they doing it? Why is Trump's DeFi platform doing this? And I post this, and I feel like I'm kind of crazy because there's more of it happening. And then it's like whales are accumulating. And I see all of this stuff. Then you look at, right? People are like, well, look at the price, bro. Like, the price is so bad. But then I see like Binance sold 99% of its ETH holdings last year. And I see that Grayscale are still bleeding out from their ETF because they had a massive, big, they had a huge amount of accumulated Ethereum. So then I'm like, well, you know, there's probably some market manipulation. You wouldn't buy an asset up not to move it at some point. That's my theory. I'm interested to get your take on that.
Well, first of all, BlackRock's holdings, even if they held all the Bitcoin and it dumped to zero, would not affect them.
Sure.
That's how big that entity is. So this really isn't about them. People think BlackRock's trying to make money off of this. I don't really think so. I think they're trying to control and manipulate it. I don't think they're trying to make money off of it. That's one thing that they need to watch. And the fact that all of the Bitcoin maxis that have been coming at us, they sold you out, everybody. They sold their Bitcoin. Do you think they got that Bitcoin mining? Do you think they got that Bitcoin on the market? No. These are old wallets that sold all their Bitcoin, and you could have watched it over the last year. I watched all the whale alerts, all the wallet moves, new wallet created. Oh shit, $100 million worth of Bitcoin here, $100 million worth of Bitcoin there, $100 million worth of Bitcoin here, moving between wallets, and the markets weren't even moving. And it was like, see guys, they're selling their Bitcoin, they're getting rid of it, and they're giving it to BlackRock, and BlackRock's taking control of it. And they're going to do the same thing with Ethereum. And the maxis, the Ethereum and Bitcoin maxi bros are all cheering it on like it's something good for them. And
I always thought it was kind of so to that point, right? And it's interesting how the psychology agreed, I guess, is like the first principles or the ideas behind it was to try and get away from that. And then when it's at a certain price, then they kind of sell. You know, I don't know. Everyone has a price at some point. That's my put.
Yeah, and that's true. And even Brasology says it in the chat just now. He said people are allowed to sell RG3, and that's my philosophy. All of you guys bitching and crying and moaning about people selling, you should stop. But here's the difference of what just happened and what I'm talking about is that the people that got into this ecosystem in the beginning, the Bitcoiners that hold the monster bags of Bitcoin, they preached a narrative that they were going to change the world with this. They are the custodians of the beginnings of the genesis of crypto. The custodians. They're wealthy beyond belief. They have enough money. They to whom much is given, much is expected. They should have known. Sell their bags, yes, that's fine. But it's who they sold their bags to. It's who they handed the keys to the kingdom over to. Exactly who they've been railing against for all those years, for the decades the decade and a half that they've been doing this, was the organization of BlackRock. BlackRock is the biggest financial institution on the planet. That's who they were up against. That's who they were railing against. That's why they created Bitcoin. And then they sold it to them. That's different than selling your bags. That is selling your soul and who you are to the man that you were trying to fight against. And that's where that was wrong. and that should be looked at, and that should be scrutinized and kept an eye on, because now the Bitcoiners, the cypherpunks, whoever it was that created those big bags of wealth in the beginning and the stability in the beginning of this ecosystem have now turned it over to the man that they were railing against.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about RH for a second. Interpol notice. So tax fraud and banging out a 16-year-old. Shout out to Richard for that one. No, I mean,
there's a couple 16-year-olds I'd like to have slapped myself.
I think people also don't really know what's happened with Finland specifically. I was there a few years ago, and for a while I was dating a girl from Finland, and the demographic has changed a lot. Now, if you're a very wealthy individual in Finland, I'm just speculating here, okay? This is just me kind of my knowledge of the world and what I've seen is I know that people would probably go after him or probably try something slick in the street. And especially if you have got that amount of wealth, I know the demographics of people coming in, particularly into Europe, the individuals who are not from those kind of cultures that probably will try something. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened. Now, I don't know the background story. I don't know nothing about it, but I thought it was one of the weakest Interpol notices I've ever seen, right? Mainly tax evasion or tax fraud or something like that. What's your take on it?
Well, it's thing that I've heard is, and obviously there's not even a he said, she said, because I can't hear Richard's side of the story and I can't hear this other person's side of the story. All I see is the 6 subpoenas that were handed to me, the harassment that has been handed to me by my 3-letter agencies in the United States. I saw the court case and how that was laid out. I saw the timing. I saw the election come and go, and the 3-letter agencies get pushed up against the wall based on timeframes and getting things done. I saw them up against the ropes against Richard Hart, and that everything that they were bringing was very frivolous appearing. And then all of a sudden this Interpol thing comes out at the 0 hour, at the last minute. Yeah. Now I've read, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist by no means, but I've heard that Interpol has been caught in situations where they've tried to put people in positions where they might necessarily not have been in order to pressure them or whatever, without saying that they've actually been dishonest or whatever. But they've done things in that, to that nature. And so to think that maybe one of my 3 other agencies might not have called out and asked for a favor so that they can maybe put a mugshot, get Richard Hart into a facility where they can mugshot him and, put that up there so the public sees it and the crypto world sees it and the judge may have seen it and, and makes another, I think that it could possibly have been a favor, for these agencies. And again, I can't say that's a conspiracy theory, but not being a conspiracy theorist, I think that that's something that's quite possible that could have happened at the 0 hour here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it made for a pretty good meme coin. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to most mugshot. Like that's the kind of thing I'd like to see. Personally, I would have loved, and I don't know if Richard's watching or whatever, but I would have loved to see Richard on streams, right? Like there's an argument from the younger guys, and I will say it's a criticism, is like, why isn't he taking the Andrew Tate approach? Or, we know that as an example where they've been through a lot of lawfare and they've gone, well, fuck your lawfare. I'm going to stream anyway. I'm going to say what it is and be really open about it. Why do you think that hasn't been the case for Richard? Why be in the shadows as per se?
So I understand a young man's perspective because I was one at one point, full of piss, vinegar, and horns, man. I was a Marine, I ran around the world and fucked and killed everything that I ran into. I understand that mentality. I understand the need to go out and exert that energy and that the need to go out and fight, for what you value. But there's a story, and it's about 2 bulls. There's 2 bulls on top of the hill, right? And the 2 bulls on top of the hill, there's a young bull and an old bull. And the young bull looks down at the valley and says, hey, old bull, why don't we run down there and go and fuck one of those cows? And the old bull looks at the young bull and says, no, let's walk down there and fuck them all. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is that we need to take a better, a more calm approach to this thing. And I think Richard's doing that. I think Richard has, I mean, what could Richard have done for the last 3 years streaming, right? What could he have really done? Told you all, hey, wait another week and see you next week. Hey, yeah,
control the narrative. I would argue control the narrative. I would, because
they're going to do it anyway, though. They're going to change the narrative. They're going to make their own narrative. They're going to do their own thing. No matter what Richard Hart says to them would not have mattered in the bear market. He would have got lambasted and ripped apart just like the rest of us that continued to stream did.
Sure.
No matter what I did in this community, no matter how much money I spent, no matter how many countries I went to, no matter how much help I tried to bring to this community, I got destroyed. I got ripped apart. I got death threats. I got, you name it. It all came down to they didn't give a fuck because they were upset and they were having to drink out of the mud hole for the last 3 years. And hey, the guy who's standing there, who's standing on the wall talking and saying things to them and saying, hey, it's okay. That's the guy they're going to put up on the cross, man. And that's what happens. So I don't blame Richard one bit. He did the smart thing. I was the dummy that was out there trying to make things happen.
Well, I mean, you know, similar things, death threats. I think everyone knows the name of my family now and my full name as well. So that's been doxed on the internet. Thank you, you little fucking brick. But yeah, you know, like those types of things just got put out there, and it was actually quite unexpected. And I'm like, okay, well, this is ridiculous, but that's what happens in a bear market. I realized why so many influencers just drop off the face of the planet when it comes to a bear market. Like I was like, you suckers! I'm
running to the hills when as soon as that red candle comes, I'm running.
That's it. You know, and I just realized, like, oh, okay, that's why. I see now. You know, I completely see. A couple of guys saying, I don't understand why you guys want to see the man stream so bad, because, you know, like everyone wants interaction, right? Like everyone wants to know. There's always questions. Everyone has questions, and yeah, it's just interesting. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are interested in what's going on. Richard, what's going on in your life? Like, fuck crypto for a second. You know, what's going on? You know, where are you going? What you recommend? I had a really good sit down, and I know someone was mentioning it the other day. Someone was mentioning it in the chat. Excuse me, with Maria, right? Me and Maria, completely different individuals. And when we were at the Amsterdam PulseChain conference, got the chance to sit down. Fascinating. Barely even spoke about crypto. Didn't even speak about crypto. We're talking about travel. We're talking about like life, just like you know, takes on life and this, that, and the other. And I was like, that's an interesting conversation. And obviously, he's kind of a founder of his own thing. He's got his own community, the PDI Maxis, and all of that fun stuff. And a really, really interesting person. Really shocked me as an individual. Very smart, very intelligent. And that was a really great time. So I think that's why. I think people always want to, if they admire to a degree an individual, they always want to ask questions. They always want interaction like that. It's just human nature. What is your take, by the way? Someone had asked about that. There's kind of been a bit of a rotation. I don't know if it's some people were saying it's a dead narrative. Some people aren't. What's been your take on the PDI stuff and what's been going on? I want to know. I know, because I'm interested. You know. By the way, you be careful, because B-Roots might take a clip of this and, you know, try and crucify you.
Look, everybody knows that. You know, I've always been a fan of the narrative, of what they were trying to do, and understanding Hart's law and bonding things together and making them move and whatnot, and you know, taking a coin and pegging it somehow, some way with yield and all those things. All these tools are available to us. There's other cryptos that are doing. There's other things that are doing it too. You know, the narrative was to me, it was a little bit like on the slick side, because they were like, oh, well, Richard, you know, why would he have these coins in there? Well, Richard had all the coins from Ethereum in there. So it wasn't like it was something special. And so I was just like, you know, you don't have to fake the narrative. Do what you're doing. And again, I was a fan. I was like, I'm rooting for you guys. Go and do it and make it happen. And show me that you can make it happen. Show me how you can peg something and make a stable coin out of it. Do it, you know? And the one thing that I know about crypto is this. When you've got people with big bags, I mean, we just talked about it with the Bitcoiners, right? When you got people that got monster bags and they're dead ass broke, and they all of a sudden are worth 30 million, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do? You don't have a stable coin when you've got people with monster bags that live in fucking motorhomes. It's going to dump, guys. It's going to sell. People are, you know, and that's the market. And it takes time for these things to stable out. A stable coin is a stable coin, meaning it's stable. Not that you have guys with big bags that can dump on your head and change that. A stable coin has to be stable. So make it happen, do it, show us, and then, you know, we'll believe it and use it as such. But until then, you know, it's just another meme. It's just getting people to kind of ape in because you need money in here. You need it. You're doing it on your own. You're bringing people in. You're bringing revenue in order to grow it. And when you do that, you fill a cookie jar. And you got a bunch of kids with their hands ready to stick it in the cookie jar, they're going to eat the fucking cookies. And that's my explanation to everybody is how I feel about it. I just look at reality. I'm not fudding it. I'm not trying to say your bullshit narrative. I'm just saying, let's talk about the reality of it. I've been told a million different ways that it's to do this, do that, and it hasn't. So I believe in it. I want them to do it. I'm rooting for them. But there's too many things in there for me to say, oh yeah, these guys have got it. It's done. It's not done. Go finish it, and then I'll say great job, you know. But until then, I want to see it work. And there's other you know, coins out there. There's other projects that are doing that too. And so let's see who does it first.
Sure. Can we talk about your mate for a second, right? I think probably the most
which one?
No, I'm not gonna. I was gonna talk about the guy who, you know, stuck 100K into. You know, I think it actually made the movie quite very interesting. Is he? How's things? Is he divorced? Is he still?
Oh, my boy Mikey.
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, he's, you know, Mikey. You know, of course, he exposed himself to the community. He's not a crypto guy. He's my friend. He wanted to get into crypto, so I helped him get in. Unfortunately, it was at the top, and he put up.
Because I know you said previously that it took him a long time before he did it. Why did it take so long?
So Mikey was waiting for a big dip, right? He was like, "Oh, come on, man, it's moving," and he was smart, and finally it got to a point where he just had to cheat. He was like, I can't wait no more. I got to get in. You got to get me in. And I said, hey man, the movie's looking for somebody who's getting in right now. You want to film it? And he's like, yeah, but I got to get in now. So they literally flew there that night, got to him, and he G'd it in, and they filmed it. And man, good on him to actually put that out there and give a narrative to the film that is like, oh, you know, and if he comes out on top, because he sacrificed and he bought in dollar cost in on its way down and changed his entry, you know, from where it was to way. His entry's way low now because he bought so much down at the bottom here. So he's doing well. And you know, when he sees a price bump, and the man's got his own business, he does well. He's not, you know, he's not hurting. You know, people think that you know, I get shit all the time. Oh, you destroyed your buddy, all of his life savings. It's like, no, the man sold a house in one state, and you know, he ended up with a house in another state that cost less, and he had some extra money on the side, and that went into his crypto holdings. You know, it was money they had saved. Now, is it a big deal for his family? Of course it is. That's a significant amount of money. But the man does fine. He takes care of his family. He's got a big family. Got a bunch of kids, 5 kids, and you know, and he's doing well. So yeah.
Sorry, my battery's just died. I'm just going to grab another one. Can you do me,
Okay.
just in the meantime, do us a favor, talk about the upcoming PulseChain conference and chill it a little bit just whilst I'm doing
that would be cool. I can knock out the shield part here. You know, these in-person events are important to me because I think it builds strong community. I know that Richard Hart put out a narrative that you know, don't go to events. Well, I don't think he was talking to us. In fact, I'm sure he wasn't talking about us because he wants this community to be strong. He wants us to build Hexaco, and I'm not going to stop trying to do that until we're filling up stadiums like the Las Vegas Sphere. I want to see us in the Sphere with Hexicans and people, you know, coming into crypto and wanting DeFi and freedoms. You know, the freedom narrative of what crypto really is hasn't been talked about enough. You know, and in crypto, we talk too much about number go up and bear markets and bull markets and charts and regulatory and all this bullshit, when really what it comes down is to basic human freedoms that we've lost over the years through capitalism to big corporations that have created industrial complexes that have screwed all of us human beings out of being able to be part of the money system. And there's enough to go around for the whole world to be prosperous. And crypto gives us all an equal playing field, whether it's just banking the unbanked, which was another thing that Charles said he was going to do that he didn't do when he went to Africa and, you know, kind of, I won't call him a scammer or anything, but that narrative didn't work when he said he was going to go to Africa and give people crypto or whatever. But anyway, building a strong community is important. So we built the Pulse 369 event in Vegas, which the reason we call it 369 events because it's March 6th through the 9th. And it is part of the PulseChain tour. And what we've been doing for the last 2 years, we traveled the United States 2 years ago. Last year, you know, we came to Europe. We saw you guys out there and we traveled the world. So from now on, we're going to be doing one event a year. Who knows? Maybe we'll add another one somewhere. But you know, for now, it's going to be Vegas. It's easy for people to get to Vegas. I know a lot of people from outside the country have a hard time getting to the U.S., but I think Vegas is a place that people like to go. So we're going to do it March 6th through the 9th. On the 6th is the registration and welcome dance party. We're going to have DJ there, tearing it up, throwing lasers, show the whole thing. You know, open bar, kicking it off, having a good old time on the 6th. On the 7th and 8th is going to be conference day. We're going to have all day. We're going to have speakers, you know, B-Roots, Crypto Coffee, Axis, Randy Hilarski, you know, Queen Wiki, Whitney. One of the cool speakers that are going to be there is the Treasurer of Nevada, Zach Conine. So now we have politicians leaning into PulseChain, wanting to know about DeFi. I made friends with Zach a few years ago where we helped him campaign. We donated to his campaign. When I was trying to get into the lobby groups, made close ties with the Nevada leadership. And Zach is, you know, and Zach and the governor and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General are all interested in what it is we're doing and what's going on at the 369 event. So Zach's going to be speaking there, and he may be running for a higher office this next time. So we got advocates in our court on our team that want to see us succeed. So it'd be nice to come and watch that. And then on the 9th we have Casey, you know, Black Hexagon. She's got crypto culture. She's got an event that she puts on called the Pulse Masters, and I give her full credit for it because it's her baby and she really does a good job. We've got golfers. She's in Vegas right now. Literally today, she's in Vegas because she's out there promoting and bringing outside golfers into the event. So it's going to be the biggest crypto payoff golf tournament in history. At one point, it was a $50,000 prize, but we've had a dip in the cryptos that we've got in the bag. So we've got more crypto coming in. We literally just got some more the other day. So more projects and more people are donating crypto to the event. So it's going to be a big prize. If we get a good pump here by the 6th, we could see a crypto prize of, you know, 50 to 100,000. You know, so it's gonna be an interesting tournament. So that's going to be on the 9th. That's the Pulse Masters. It's going to be the last Pulse Masters we did. We actually onboarded. There were 4 golfers that won prizes, and they were no coiners. They just said, "Hey, a golf tournament. We're going to join the golf tournament." They came in, and they literally had to make wallets, and they onboarded right there. And now they're Hexkins, right? So we've got 4 people that just came in from that. And then this one I think is going to be a lot more, because she literally went down there to actually bring more in. There are still room for sponsors. There's tickets. You can go to PulseChainTour.com. That's where the tickets are to come hang out and join us and be part of the event. You can also, if you want to sponsor, if you want to be part of the golf tournament, you want to be part of the event itself, there's still room for sponsors to jump in and be part of it. So you can get in contact with KC, that's Black Hexkin, or SJ. Everybody knows SJ's, also part of the team. She's the one that everybody reaches out to. And if you reach out to SJ, a wild SJ, she can get you hooked up and show you how to participate.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm sure that people are going to enjoy it, and if we see the price keep moving,
yeah, it'll be a good time. The last one we had was the day of, everything just tanked. We had it was the beginning of the bear market for the Pulse ecosystem. So hopefully the day we start, it would be kind of strange if it was the day that we, launched, because it was the day that we stank the last time we had one.
Yeah. I mean, Amsterdam was cool. Like I met a lot of the guys. It was real interesting, actually. The guys I really enjoyed it. We kind of degened a little bit, went out a bit, had a bit of fun, but it was cool. There was some great guys that I met in IRL, and very interesting meetups. People are a little bit more chilled. They're not like they are online. Everyone's a big man online, but everyone's pretty chill. Everyone's pretty cool. Everyone's just up for having fun and living a very different lifestyle. I mean, it's a completely different lifestyle to any other industry, I think, ever, because there's the vast majority of people, I would say, aren't. If I go to an event with people kind of locally in my area, they're struggling with stuff. We talk about a dip, but a lot of people are still kind of rich or kind of feeling all right. Even when things are bad, they're doing okay. So they're very generous. They're very they're out there. They'll look after you. And you'll have fun. Yeah. Ultimately, they like to party and they like to have fun. So most of us are similar in that regard.
Yeah, and if anybody's out there early, I'm going to have a little, the day before, Captain's going to have a little cigar meetup at one of the local lounges out there. So if you want to join me, reach out, hit me a DM if you're going to come out a day early or something, and we'll go hit the cigar lounge together. And I'll be hosting just a little offside little get together.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, cool. That's really great. We're going kind of past the hour mark as well, and the conversation has been pretty flowing. It's been pretty good. Question, I guess I probably would ask you, what are you expecting in the next kind of 12 months? What do you see? I mean, again, no one knows the future completely, but what's your? Let's hear. Are you optimistic? Are you bearish? What's your viewpoint?
I am super bullish. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that everything is primed for insane growth, for monster gains, for the whole world is about to change. The crypto space is about to change drastically, especially here in true DeFi land. I mean, we are true DeFi. And nobody can take that away from us or Richard, no matter how many times they try to insult him or insult us. We know why we're here. It's not the reasons that they say. They say that we're a cult. They say that we're being charmed by Richard and that he's, faking the funk and that we're just a bunch of followers. That is not the truth. The people I know in this space are smart, good leaders, 10 times the leader as Charles Hoskinson, 10 times a leader as Vitalik Buterin, 100 times a leader as CZ. All of the influencers, to me are fake paid for furus because I know who they are. I've been to your Bitcoin events and I know who's paying your bills. I've got a list of who's paying your guys' bills. And I know that no hexagons are on the take. I know that no hexagons do this for pay, that we all do this on our own. And in fact, it costs us money to do all this stuff. It costs us time to do all this stuff. We do it because we know that we're on the right side of history. And that's what matters. And that right there, along with the climate and what's going on and the direction that we're about to go into, freaking psychs me the hell out, man. I am fired up. I'm bullish. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how high this is going to go. Is Hex going to go to $1? Maybe, probably. Is Hex going to go to $10, $15? Maybe, probably. You know, I mean, it could do a whole bunch of things. There is so much room for big growth right now, and for things to happen that are bullish that I can't even see them. You know, like I didn't see coming what just happened, what Richard just did. And now that I see the moves that he can make that are coming up next, it's like, holy shit, you know, this is getting exciting. So hold on to your hats, hold on to your seats, buckle in, get yourself ready. Don't get yourself caught outside of this bull run, because it's happening, it's coming. And I know some of you have never seen one, but it gets real exciting. And when you're winning, you're happy and everybody's kumbaya, and I get to take the fucking arrows out of my back and heal up and go, thanks guys. Now you guys go run up the hill, because I'm done. I'm tired.
Yeah. No. That side of things, I won't miss that much. I'll probably go out on the bear market, to be honest. You know, even the content recently, I've just been like, but it's tough, you know, when you're in the trenches. And I literally, I like that expression, because they're after you. You know, they're out for blood, and they want to find their nearest person to go for. So
they're all coming. It's like your family, your friends, crypto, the 3-letter agencies, and even our own community have come after us. Like, it's like, where's my allies at? Well, they're going to start showing up now, because my phone's ringing. Everyone wants to know about crypto. My friends and family are going to be nice to me again. The agencies are probably going to go away. The hexagons are going to start being nice again. And it's like, oh, okay. I hear you guys are, right?
Well, likely. And then, you know, maybe we see it again. You know, maybe we see that you know, post-bull market euphoria, and then they come again. But again, this is just the waves and the cycles, really. It is what it is. It's Super Hex. I like what you're doing, man. I also, by the way, shout out to you. I honestly, the TikTok king, the king of TikTok. I'm loving what you're doing with the most coin, honestly, and I'm loving what you're doing with all of the TikToks that you do. Like that smash button. I appreciate it.
He's the best, man. We'll see him in Vegas, I'm sure.
100%. Yeah, no, he's a warrior, man. Like I see all the kind of TikTok stuff. I think he's awesome when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, the drink spiker is showing his face. Yeah, never spiked a drink. I don't need to. I'm 6'4" and fucking good looking. So anyway, on that note,
you're a stud, bro. You're a stud. That's for sure.
It's funny because, you know, like and I think you've been through the same thing as well, actually, Free, where there's people on, you know, random corners of the internet that will make up shit about you or whatever, right? And I laugh about it, because it's like, you know, people will make the craziest allegations out there, and it's like, well, okay, if it was to be true, why wouldn't you go to entities? Why wouldn't you go to police? Why wouldn't you do that kind of stuff? And it's just, and then you look at, there's probably agendas behind it. There's some reasons as to why people are making those agendas up. Maybe because you've criticized their products. Maybe because you've criticized people they're friends with and stuff. So yeah, that's how it's going.
Yeah, no, it's true. No matter what, you try and do something, or you say something about something that you know, somebody goes and jeets into or gets hurt on or whatever. They think that you made them push the button, you know. And I got news for you. Every single one of you, no matter what any of us have said, you push the damn button. It's on you. So, you know.
Well, you know, I'll send you the Cabal membership card in a bit, and we'll get that sorted for you, RG Free. But no, I appreciate it. All jokes aside, appreciate what you're doing, man. You've been you and the team really have been like grinding it through in the bear market. I will give you credit for that, and been doing the tours. You know, even when people have showed up and haven't showed up. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all the hard work you're doing and being a public face as well. It's not easy.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Cool, guys. Well, if you haven't already, go follow RG3. What is your tag on Twitter?
Captain RG3 on Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, RG3 RG3ME. You'll see me there on Telegram, and then of course Twitter, Captain RG3. And then go to PulseChainTour.com. That's where you find all the information on what we're doing, the bios on everybody, the team, what we've done in the past. If you haven't got your NFTs from the past events you've been to, everything's all in there. And then of course the Vegas 369 event, the Pulse 369 is right there. You can go get your tickets and stuff there.
Cool. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. And yeah, you can find me Money Gang Crypto on pretty much every social media platform. Until the next time, I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care.